Okay, I've been kind of putting this one off a little bit. I mean, I've been busy, in fairness to myself, so it's not like I've been having, loads of opportunities to sit down and record this. But even without that, I've been kind of putting this one off because I've never been the biggest fan of J. Cole. So you can turn off right there if you don't want to hear an opinion on a person that's not the biggest fan of J. Cole. But also just the general hype surrounding J. Cole has just confused me for years. I wouldn't mind if he wasn't put on this pedestal of being one of the best rappers around of our generation. Even some people I see say of all time in like their top 10s, in their top 20s. Look, you can have your opinions, but it's just the pedestal that he's placed on as being this intellectual, conscious rapper that has such a great mind and a great way with words. And that's the part that confuses me. If you love J. Cole's music, you can, look, I'm not saying you're wrong, you're not wrong, but it's the part where everything about his lyrics that are like God tier, that's the bit that I get confused by. Even if you just do a surface level like scoop of J. Cole and, click on the most popular tracks on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, his most famous songs on YouTube, you would find immediately that there isn't really any of those things that people say about J. Cole in any of those songs, which is fine. But then you dig deeper and you continue to not find any of those things that people seem to say about his songs. It's just a very confusing thing for me, and the off-season kind of carries on that trend. That's why I was kind of off-putting this video, because if there's the chance that a few of his big fans and stans will see this video, it's just going to be an immediate, oh, you don't get it. And I just don't like being told that, because I'm not stupid. Don't tell me that I don't get something before you've even got to know me, you know what I mean? Oh God, that's like some kind of that's probably a J. Cole bar right there. It's frustrating, the conversation surrounding these kinds of artists where, the fans place them on a pedestal. I don't even think some of these rappers even put themselves on. So it's just a conversation I just hate to have. But basically, to cut all of this rambling out, I don't like the new J. Cole album. And surprisingly not for half of the reasons I just used as what I tend to don't like about the discussions surrounding J. Cole. Because firstly, there isn't anything that's overly intellectual on this album in the slightest. In fact, I think he's gone in a different direction this time around, where he's not really giving us anything deeper than surface level topics. A lot of rapping about money on this album, which is funny because, again, he's always the antithesis of that kind of rap. He's the anti-braggadocious rapping about money and all that kind of cliche hip-hop stuff. He's always been the anti of that. But there's so much about this, there's so much on this album that's about that. And it's not done in a particularly interesting way. And the issue is generally with me is that J. Cole just isn't that great at keeping my attention. I don't think his flows and his deliveries on many of these tracks are that good. The beats are really simple. There's such a lack of detail to so many of these beats. It feels like, auto-generated at times, but then you just get his delivery over some of these tracks and it's just really so-so. 95 South sets up the album in that kind of way too. I'm immediately lost with his first few lines, where he starts the first line of his first song with "This shit's too easy for me now." I just think when you've hit that point, you're really expanding your own ego. To me, that says that I'm not trying as hard because it's too easy now. If you just come into something with an attitude of this is too easy, how hard are you even trying? You can't have that attitude towards anything, because you're just going to get worse, or you're not going to put in the effort that you should. You should always view things as a challenge. But if you're going to view this whole thing as it's too easy, then you ain't going to try as hard as you should. That whole measly 100K thing that he throws rappers who have 30 songs on their albums. Look, I get it. A lot of artists and rappers do that, where they just pile in loads of songs just for the streaming. But 100K, measly? Is that measly? I mean, just because you went platinum 18,000 times with no features, it doesn't mean 100k is not a lot. Like, that's a lot. Could put an M on your head, you Luigi brother now, is definitely one of the worst lines I've heard in some time. And there's a few others on this very album that I could give that label to. But again, just, it's an Eminem type thing going on here, where he's put on such a high pedestal, and then he drops lyrics about poop and stuff. And it's like, the pedestal that he's placed on should surely, you know, be enough to avoid these kinds of lines, because if someone was that amazing, they wouldn't make lyrics like that. The random ending too, with the hype kind of represent your clique thing that comes out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, I've spent so much time just on this one song, but these are the kinds of issues that this album contains. It's like, this last bit didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the track, because J. Cole isn't a hype lyricist or hype rhymer, or, you know, his delivery just doesn't scream like, ooh, ooh. You know, I'm not listening to Waka Flocka Flame. I'm listening to a pretty timid, tame, soulful, jazzy rapper. And then it just kind of continues from there with the lack of remarkable moments like Amari. And there's even some tracks that I just couldn't even write any notes for down. That was how much I was just losing interest in this. I mean, the next track as well, My Life, I just think his delivery just isn't very good here. Like, he is rapping every line in the same way, and it just gets so stale. The hook is okay, and then you've got 21, who, again, is just fine. Like, was surprised to see him on a track with J. Cole, but probably didn't need to be here, because I just have nothing to say about his feature. He's usually got something in him that brings like a bit of a fire, but I just didn't get that. I do think with some of these features as well, I think he is trying to cross over to that crowd of like, you know, I can do a bit of the pop rap stuff now, you know, I can do stuff with the trap artists, which he was kind of never really a part of before. You've got Lil Baby on here too. Just kind of things like that that make it kind of go, he's maybe trying to delve into that crowd, but the features don't really come through with anything noteworthy. I hate the way some of these tracks seem to be going in one direction and then take it in a very different direction. That just doesn't really have anything interesting to say. So for example, Applying Pressure. This is the one track for me that confused me the most, because it just seemed like it was about to be an inspiration anthem about how you can go from broke to having money and, you know, being successful. It sort of set itself up in that way, and then it just didn't do that. It didn't have to do that, but it's just not interesting to me the way the track went into this direction of, well, I'm not broke anymore, I can get more M's on my music or in my bank account than Slim Shady videos and shit like that. Like, I wouldn't have minded if it didn't, you know, do this inspirational thing, but when you got bars like that, it was just like such a disappointment. Just telling everyone how you can go from broke to, again, having all this money, but you're only just doing it for your own gain. Like, it was only for his own gain on this track, just bragging really, and it just doesn't interest me, stuff like this, unless the track is fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. But that's the thing with Cole. His delivery on almost all of these tracks feels to me like he takes himself a bit too seriously. 100 mil, I'm still on the grind. You know, I guess he's got all that money now, but he's still saying he's working, and everyone else is just killing time. They could be in his position if they didn't waste time, which again could have been an interesting inspirational track. And if you find this inspiring, that's fine, but it's subjective. I just don't hear anything inspirational about the way he words himself on this one. I'm not saying he has to write an advice column in a newspaper or anything like that. I'm not saying like it has to be agony aunt with J. Cole and how you get all the money. I don't think it has to be like that. But I'm just saying what we get on these tracks just isn't special lyrically. All I have to say about Pride is the Devil is Can't Decide by Amine, way better. Like, I think they used the same sample or something. It's the same beat basically. And yeah, Amine wipes the floor because it's catchy and memorable. And every time Pride is the Devil comes off, I forget what it sounds like. Like, this just isn't memorable to me at all. Climb Back is a track that just has so many weak lines. I flipped like exclamation points. No. Good thing that Close has a better line though. It doesn't. Don't even give a shit that I'm broke, cause in my mind I'm rich with what I wrote. Yeah, no, come on, dude. This is like poetry type rap. Like you'd walk into someone in the streets at a party and be like, "Oh mate, I've got this stuff on SoundCloud. Go listen to it." And you go home and listen to it, and these are the kind of lyrics that pop up. Like, dude, again, you're just talking about how you're not broke anymore, and it's just really corny lines. Like, that's all I hear here. Here. That's all I hear. Let Go My Hand, probably the most grounded track because it has a really nice beat for one. And I just don't mind J. Cole's delivery on this one at all. There aren't really many lines that pop out in a bad way, and he's not boring me as much as he is on previous tracks. And I really like the hook as well. I think it's Baz on this one with the I'll turn out just fine thing. Really quite sweet and sentimental. The soulful edge is wonderful too. There's just a really nice vibe to this one that I don't think I get from any of the other tracks. And again, not really many lines that stand out in a particularly bad way. Just a solid track that I was hoping to hear more of. But that's where it ends. I mean, I can't really say much about the other tracks I haven't even mentioned because they all just kind of go by. Interlude didn't really impress me that much the first time. Didn't think it was bad or anything, but not really any qualities that make it stand out. You know, immediately I'm thinking, okay, is there a good hook? Is there a great delivery? Are there great flows? Are there great rhymes? Are there great lyrics? Like, that's what I tend to look for immediately in a hip-hop song, and I just don't know if J. Cole has many of those qualities at all. If he does, I don't hear them. This to me was really weak, probably one of my least favourite albums of his so far, and I can't really say I like many of them anyway, but yeah, I'm going to go 4.5 out of 10, just really nothing standing out to me here at all, apart from the moments that stand out in a bad way. That's all I can say. One track, Let Go My Hand, that was the only one I'd go back to. And yeah, that's it. So hopefully, if you're a fan of him, you can understand where I'm coming from, and I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not just trying to be a hater. I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I just review the music in the way that I hear it. And this is what I hear. I hear a really weak album, and nothing here worth listening to again. That's how it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from. Hopefully you agree. If you do agree, let me know. If you don't agree, also let me know. Thank you for watching this review. Subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Have a good day and goodbye.